Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I garden in your very typical suburban neighborhood lot. We're on about half an acre, a little bit less than that, and I garden in Atlanta, Georgia, which is a zone 7B 8A. So we are very hot, very humid, and very clay. And today I am super excited to share a plant haul. I have only done a few of these this season. If you know me or you follow me from Instagram, you know that this year I've only done a very limited number of plant hauls because the majority of my garden budget was spent on hardscaping materials. This year we added some gravel and created pebble pathways, and I'm really grateful that we got to do that. But as you might know, or maybe you don't know, hardscaping materials really eat into a plant budget. So I've really held back this year, completely avoided nurseries and completely avoided some of my favorite websites. But today I caved and I cannot wait to show you what I got because I really think you're gonna love some of these varieties. So let's get started. Hello. Oh my gosh, you can't even see me. Okay, much better. Let's talk about all of these plants. I am so excited to be adding them to my garden. Some of them I have experience with, others are going to be brand new to me. So I'm going to walk you through what I got and why I got it. I want to talk about this rose first because it's actually the only thing that was on my list. This rose is one I've been hunting for a while because my good friend Claudia, she is over at the Organized Homemaker. She has this growing in her garden and it is absolutely epic there. She doesn't have many issues with black spot. It's constantly reblooming and it's also great as a cut flower because each rose grows on a very, very long stem. And this rose actually gets about 5 feet tall and wide. So it is a bit of a monster. You need to give it space. You need to give it full sun. But luckily I have a space up front where I keep most of my roses because there is scorching sun there. That would be perfect for this rose. And if you have followed me for a little while, you guys know that this year and last year, I've really started to get into growing more cut flowers. Love creating bouquets for my kitchen and for my friends' kitchens, my neighbors' kitchens, my parents' kitchens. So this is going to be a great addition for a rose that hopefully performs as well in my garden as it does in her garden. I'm going to put all the zone and height and everything information on the screen for each of the varieties that I bought, just in case you're in another part of the country and you're wondering if any of this haul is something that you could also plant in your garden. Oh, another benefit that I didn't talk about was the scent. This has a very, very lovely scent. My husband is a huge fan of roses that have a scent, so he is going to be very happy. Although I will say, sometimes he laughs at me for all of the plants that I buy because he's saying I'm basically just burying his money. But you guys know that I am only buying perennials and shrubs, and these are things that will come back year after year and get bigger and bigger. So basically, I'm not taking the money and burying it. I'm investing it in something that will only get bigger over time. Basically, I put my money in plant stocks. All that talking, and I realized I didn't even tell you the name of the rose. The name of this rose is Sweet Mademoiselle. It is from Star Rose and Plants, which is also the breeder of Knockout Roses and the Drift series, which are very, very reliable roses. So I also hope that you, my friend, will have the same kind of performance in my garden because wouldn't that be incredible? Okay, I'm gonna set this aside and we'll talk about this next perennial. It is an agastache or an agastache. This is Blue Fortune agastache. And the reason that I got it was because it was covered in bees at the nursery and it just made my heart so happy. Of this light purple color, the bees love it too. This is one that you can actually grow from seed. I've seen seed packets sold and it's probably not a hard perennial to grow from seed, but when I saw this, it was, I think, $7 or $5. It just was something that I had to pick up. actually grows about 30 inches wide. So this is one of those perennials that you can plant and then next year likely divide and spread it around your garden. And so I just picked up one of them. I feel like for a perennial that I'm likely going to divide in the future, $5 or $7, whatever it was, isn't too much to pay. And it's absolutely beautiful, and the bees get to enjoy it now. Okay, the next one that I picked up is probably one of the easiest perennials to grow, especially if you live in a climate that is prone to drought, and that is sedum. This variety is called Class Act, and it looked like it was a much brighter pink than what I grow, which is Sedum Autumn Joy. And I think a lot of people grow Sedum Autumn Joy because that's what the big box stores have. So I'm really excited to try a different variety that might have a brighter color. And who knows, maybe I'll like it even more than Autumn Joy, or maybe I won't. But sedums are so easy to grow, so easy to spread around your garden. So I just had to try this variety and pick it up. This perennial is a fern and it is one of my favorite ferns. It is Godzilla, which is the Japanese painted fern. So you get these beautiful, beautiful silvery leaves and it grows huge. Actually, the reason that I got it was because I have three Japanese painted ferns planted next to each other in a drift, and one of them is not Godzilla, and it is painfully obvious because it is much, much smaller than the other ones. So I wanted to swap it out for Godzilla, so now they match. So that's why I picked this one up. This next one, people either love it or hate it. It is a ground cover that I actually really love growing and behaves really well for me. It's an Ajuga variety. It is called Fierce Falcons. It is from the Feathered Friends collection. I have a golden Ajuga from that collection and it is absolutely stunning. This is a great ground cover if you have a shady area. It blooms with these beautiful purple blooms in the springtime and provides a lot of food for the pollinators at a time where the rest of your garden might be waking up. This, I feel like, blooms around the same time as daffodils start, so it's a very early spring bloomer. And it's just a really great ground cover that requires very little care and just seems to kind of meander and spread as it wants to. And I have an area in the shade under our hammock that is just begging for a ground cover. So I'm excited to try this one out and see how it grows. This next one I had no business picking up other than the fact that I really love Coreopsis, and this was advertised to be an improved version of Moonbeam Coreopsis, which I have growing in the garden. Love the Coreopsis that are like this with the very fine foliage. It creates this like airy, beautiful texture that pairs well with almost all other perennials. This variety is said to be more flower power than Moonbeam, which I'm really excited about. And I think looking at the plant, that makes a lot of sense. You're seeing a lot of spent blooms up here, which I will go and cut back. And then you're also seeing new blooms on the same plant, as well as lots and lots of other buds that look like they're developing and getting ready for the next flush of blooms. So I'm really excited to try this. The only thing that I don't like about some Coreopsis is that they tend to flop over in the garden. This one seems to be nice and upright, so I'm hoping that stays. Coreopsis is a great perennial for the front of the border. It is fairly reliable. Sometimes some varieties can be short-lived, which just means that it'll last about 3 to 4 years and then just mysteriously die back one day. So know that about Coreopsis, but otherwise, a really, really great plant for your front of the border and one that I love having in the garden because it provides such a cheerful, sunny color and a really great texture. Next perennial is one I'm really excited to try. This is Echinacea purpurea Magnus superior. Just the name alone, Magnus superior. It should be really great and hopefully superior. This grows a little bit taller than my other varieties. So this is about 40 inches tall. Not sure where it's going to be planted yet, but I feel like this height is the perfect height where you can kind of tuck it in to an existing perennial border and it'll just grow and peek out of that middle layer of your border and just look really beautiful and cottagey. So that was the goal with these Hopefully it pans out, but really excited. Also think that purple color would pair beautifully with this agastache. I mean, the possibilities are endless, so I had to pick it up to try it in the garden. Now we're down to the final three. Dianthus is one that I have hit or miss luck with, and I think it's because I have very clay soil here and I don't fully amend things before planting. And this is one of those perennials that really appreciates a more well draining soil or even more of a rocky soil. So, the plan for this Dianthus, and hopefully I have more success this time, is to plant it with some gravel in the hole. I'm going to mix in a good amount of gravel, plant this in, and hopefully that will provide that kind of well draining, rocky soil that Dianthus appreciates. Fire Witch is one of my favorite varieties just based on the look of it and the long bloom time that it has. It has these beautiful magenta blooms and they keep coming throughout the season. I think this will bloom for almost 4 months. It just has so many new blooms on it, and you can already see the blooms that have been spent. Lots of flower power in this ground cover. I also love the foliage on this, and it's evergreen in my area. It has this beautiful bluish hue and is just absolutely gorgeous. So this is definitely one of those plants that I am going to plant in a well-draining soil as a front of the border plant. That'll give me some evergreen color even into the winter months. Okay, next up, I want to talk about this grass. This is a variety called Avalanche. It's similar to Carl Forester, but the leaves have a little bit more of a yellowish variegation, which I thought would be beautiful planted against any of the purple foliage plants that I have growing in my garden. So I had to pick this one up and try it in the garden. I've been inspired by Yuliya to incorporate more grasses in the landscape. She does an incredible job of incorporating grasses into her landscapes and her clients' landscapes, and they just look so beautiful, especially this time of year into the fall and winter. They give a great structure. I picked a grass that is more narrow because I am going to tuck these in somewhere. And so this one only gets about 18 to 36 inches wide, but it still gets very tall. This one gets 4 feet tall. So this is gonna be a fun one that creates a very strong vertical element in the garden, and I think is just going to be stunning. So I'm really excited to play with these grasses and see how they do. These are also one of those plants that don't require a lot of maintenance, are very drought tolerant, and just you plant it and they grow. And I need more things like that in the garden because high maintenance plants are just not for me these days. And last but not least, but now you can't see me. So last but not least is this hibiscus. This is the first hibiscus that I've ever planted in the garden. And I feel like hibiscus is such a popular plant across social media this time of year, and for good reason. It has beautiful, huge blooms that demand tons of attention in the garden. I hadn't added it to my garden yet because a lot of the varieties grow huge, and I'm a small space gardener, so I need varieties that are more compact. I saw this variety and it only grows 3 feet tall and 4 feet wide, so it seemed perfect. Also, the foliage on this is very beautiful. It's got a purplish tinge to it, and the bloom is a bright white. So I thought that contrast would be absolutely stunning. When I shared on Instagram that I purchased my first hibiscus, I had a bunch of people message me and tell me that I'm going to get addicted and I'm going to be adding so many more varieties to the garden. And to that, I say, we'll see. This year, it looks like it might not bloom. I'm not seeing many buds on it right now, but you never know. I will keep you updated if it does bloom. Hello, Sushi again. Can't decide where I'm going to plant this yet. There's a couple of different spots that I could see it going in thanks to its compact size. I will likely do an update video on where all of this is going as I kind of decide. So my process for deciding where to plant things is to basically take my plant, walk around the garden with it, and plop it into different areas, and also take a tape measure so that I'm properly envisioning what it looks like at its mature height and width. and decide it that way. I can draw things out and plan, and normally when I'm designing a new area from scratch, I do make a plant list with, alternate varieties in case I can't find it, and I go to the store with a purpose, but clearly this time I went to the nursery without any sort of purpose and just kind of threw things in the cart that looked good, which is probably not the most strategic way to shop, but it is pretty fun. And so now I have the fun task of walking around my garden with all of these different goodies and trying to figure out where to put them. Oh, I just saw one more thing that I picked up. This was at the checkout, and I feel like this is the gardener's version of like the Snickers and gum and chocolate that you see at a grocery store checkout. I mean, for a few bucks, who wouldn't pick up this beautiful succulent? I'm going to add it to my existing succulent planter that I've been slowly filling out. And these were just so fun that I had to pick them up. Anyways, that is all the random things that I bought at the nursery. This nursery that I went to is a local nursery that doesn't ship. I wish they shipped, but honestly, they are a family owned nursery. I think they're woman owned as well. They're already managing an insane operation. It is a huge nursery. I feel like it's one of the largest nurseries in my area. It's quite the haul to get to, but I go out there a couple of times a year, especially when I'm looking for a specific variety. All of their inventory that's available is posted online with the prices, which makes it really easy to shop. If you are local to Georgia, I definitely recommend going to Growers Outlet at least once a season. The prices, the selection, honestly, it cannot be beat. It is definitely worth a road trip. And I'm sorry for sharing a nursery that doesn't ship. I'm happy to also do a video and maybe another haul video from some of my favorite nurseries that do ship. Let me know in the comments if you'd be interested in that. But I do absolutely love supporting local nurseries, and this is one of my favorite nurseries in the Atlanta metro area to support. Anyways, I think that's it. I think I've rambled on about these plants enough, and instead of talking more, I should instead do some walking with some plants and some measuring so that I can figure out where these are going in the garden. Don't think that I'm going to wait to fall plant these, and instead I'm going to plant these over the next week or so. Once I figure out where they go, I'm happy to do a video on how I plant in the summer heat. Maybe that would be helpful for you guys. In Atlanta, I'm really lucky that we can plant year round. Our ground never truly freezes. So it's one of those great things that I can plant things in the spring and fall when it's easy for plants to establish, and it's easier on me because I don't have to water them as often. Or I can plant things in the summertime and the wintertime. Our ground here doesn't freeze. And in the summer, all you have to do is really stay on top of watering so that the plants get established and don't go into shock. And I'll show you my special trick for planting in the summer if you'd like. Let me know in the comments if you'd like a planting video and an update as to where these are going. As always, thank you guys for watching and commenting and supporting my channel. If you have any other suggestions for videos or things you'd like to see, I would love to hear them and do a video on what you care about. And as always, I will see you in the next video.